I am really excited to have with me today Dr. Marisol, the Queen of Thrones. I think actually now it says it's live. Anyway, we're on live. This is never my forte. We were just talking about that.
The technology.
Technology is not my forte. So I am so glad you took the time to chat with us today because we just did an interview that got released last week on the podcast, and getting lots of good questions and feedback about that. And the magic of castor oil and all the interesting things it can do for us. But before we get started, for those who haven't had a chance to listen to that podcast yet, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be the Queen of Thrones?
Yeah, well, it actually started in childhood. So this is a very, very appropriate live that we're doing today because, I correlate everything back to, of course, having a condition, which is very, very normal, but it actually extends far deeper than that. And it's much more of an emotional reason why I'm actually here is that, when I was a child, I actually it's such an interesting story. I grew up in a family which, my mother had constipation. I had constipation, of course, because you often mimic what your parents are experiencing because you're eating the same food, you're living in the same environment as well, too. My father was the opposite spectrum who, my father had a lot of emotional things that had happened to him early on as a child, like being given up by his parents. So, he had a major sense of abandonment and also of loss as well, too. And for me, it was that I had a dream as a child, as all children do. And for those moms out there, when you're, and for those moms who were children, and fathers who were children, and everyone else out there who were children, we all have a dream, and we often say it when we're children. So when your children tell you that they want to be an astronaut or they want to be, it's those first words, they ring true, and they are very true to that child. And to me, like, my dream was to become a doctor, which I'm very thankful to become a doctor, but also Liza Minnelli. So, big audacious hairy goals, big audacious hairy dreams. That's kind of been my plight for my entire life. But what happened when I was around 11 or 12 years of age was that my a dance teacher, well, I had health concerns. I had anxiety, which was misdiagnosed as asthma, and I was treated with prednisone. And this prednisone, unfortunately, started making me get more constipated, have more bowel problems, but it also caused me to gain weight. And in gaining weight, and in dance classes, many children and moms know, is that, there's a certain type of body type that is accepted and is the best. And so I didn't fit into that mold. And my dance teacher actually excluded me from the competitive group, excluded me from people in my age category, put me in a lesser grade. So I felt really bad about myself. I felt crushed because I felt that if I wasn't able to be in competitive dancing as a young girl, how on earth would I ever be able to become Liza Minnelli? And how on earth would I ever be able to become a doctor, right? Because I looked at both of those dreams as being able to be manifested as one. And it really put me on a trajectory of decay in my life. So my grades weren't good. I really wasn't following. I ended up quitting dancing. I ended up quitting all the things that I was passionate and I loved. I didn't expect that I could become a doctor, so grades really didn't matter to me anymore at that point. So it really put me on a trajectory where I really wasn't living my best life. And because of the emotional sensations that I felt in my body, the feeling of being excluded, unhappy in who I was, I didn't connect. I didn't feel like I belonged to any one group. So I really felt isolated. That really put my bowels in a bind. And not only was I dealing with constipation, but then I also started having, like my father, diarrhea. So IBS was predominant in my life for so many years. When it became time to go back to school and go into university and college, I didn't choose to go into sciences. I actually choose to go into communication and languages because that's what I was good at. I could at least speak my mind, even though I didn't feel well in who I was. I could at least speak my mind. So I ended up going down in a total different trajectory than what was really truly meant to be my path. However, I'm so grateful for where I landed because of that, I ended up, going into sales, and I ended up starting in a natural homeopathic pharmaceutical company, working for them. And I started learning about natural health and naturopathic medicine, and something inside of me ignited. And at a similar time, or actually before then, a passion for poo had ignited from Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Oz, if you believe it. I literally saw Oprah Winfrey change my life one day because she brought Dr. Oz online. And when I saw him talk about poo the way that he did, and I believe I was maybe around 16 or 17 at the time. So still, it was just some of the things that had happened over time. I remember being just so interested in what was happening with my body and with my poos, and understanding and connecting that, wow, there probably is a big issue. And it's important to like actually look at it and see what we can do for it. So, that tech took me on my passageway. I'm working here now with this natural health pharmaceutical company. I'm learning what a naturopathic doctor is. I'm still dealing with IBS and irritable bowel syndrome. I'm still, though, now really becoming aware of what my stools are saying. And I start getting more care, going to GI gut specialists, and these GI gut specialists, unfortunately, the only thing they could say to me was like, sorry about your luck, there's nothing we can do for IBS. They would prescribe, they would want to prescribe antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds. And at that point, I was kind of like, no, I've suffered already from all the drugs I was given as a child. That's really what kind of started crushing my dreams. So I was against that. I really wanted to do something natural. And I'd gone to multiple naturopathic doctors as well too, but many of them hadn't really gone in depth enough on my treatment, and they hadn't done things like food testing for food sensitivities, and so I just kept on dealing with the same problems. So I finally said, you know what, if someone's going to fix this, it's going to be me. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to become the doctor. So that's what I did. I went back to school and I went to go become the doctor. But the ironic thing was throughout my entire trajectory of working in that natural health industry, meeting all the naturopathic doctors, would you believe that, probably every single day, someone would tell me to do a castor oil pack. And, and I was completely resistant to it. I wasn't going to do it. I thought it was really not interesting or too messy, just wasn't for me. I wanted a fast supplement, a fast something or other to fix it, right? And I didn't realize what I know now, which is what I'm here to teach now, is that, everything is about practice. But finally, in naturopathic school, I felt like I got really in tune with what was going on in my body. I started doing all the right supplements, eating all the right foods, doing all the right exercises. But the stress was overwhelming in school. And that ended me up in bed with chronic fatigue, unable to get out of bed. And I thought to myself at that point in my life, I was, I believe, 31. And I go, this is crazy. Like, no, I was younger. I was 30. I'm like, how can this be? I am now, it's taken me like 15 years. I've been going through the same journey. And, I'm finally doing all the right things, eating all the right foods, taking all the right supplements. I'm doing it all right. But like, why am I still like back at like ground zero? Like, why is this happening to me? And so then I said, you know what, I have to do something, because I'm not going to be able to finish becoming a naturopathic doctor. I'm not going to be able to graduate. So I finally decided to make myself a castor oil pack so that I could, so that it would be easy to do, because I was like, I'm not doing it the way that everyone else wanted to do it. Forget it. I'm like, I need to figure out a way to make it easy. So I remember that day, like I sewed I couldn't get out of bed. So I was like in bed, like sewing my first castor oil pack out of a trade show bag that was like all organic cotton that I had found from my trade show days. And I sewed it and I put it on my body, and it that moment changed my life, because that moment, what it did was that castor oil pack actually showed me what relaxation was. And the best way that I can describe it is it felt like the sky was opening up, the angels began to sing, and I finally felt good in my body. Like I get tingles, like just up and down my spine, just remembering it. And then I started doing the castor oil pack every single day. And within 3 months, I was back to normal. I was back to myself. And in fact, I felt a lot better than I actually had previously. And I was like, wow, imagine the strife I would have saved myself had I started this about, 10 years earlier, when I had been told ad nauseum to do castor oil pack. It's really good for IBS. It's really good for people who have digestive problems. It's like, it's a really good solution. But, like other people, even when I was in my internship here in clinical medicine, clinical practice, is that I saw that when I would prescribe it, people didn't want to do it because it was messy, it was uncomfortable, it was like, too many steps, blah, 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 right? All these excuses we put up for something that we should be doing. But I realized, this is who we are in this day and age. Like, we just don't have time. We're so busy. We're running around, like moms, if anything, are the busiest. I became a mom 5 years ago as a stepmom to teenage kids. And I realized, the stressors and the amount of work and like running around and what we have to do, right? Like it becomes so much, like, you know, we're a chauffeur all the time, all these aspects. But ultimately what I realized was that, you know, the supplements are fantastic. The diet is great. These things are all necessary and we all need to do them. But the thing that Castor Oil Packs gave me was that it gave me my foundation of my healing. You know, it set up so many things in my body well so that I could actually be healed. And then I, you know, in clinical practice for 10 years, I had launched my Castor Oil Pack company before I even started practice. I, you know, then in clinical practice, you know, really saw not just on me, but I saw on thousands of patients the benefit of these packs. And we even did like studies about these packs, and it was really incredible. And the work that I continue to do now is that I am helping people to like really own their throne, and not only, you know, their potty time and have good bowel movements and understand what their gut health is doing, and you know, how that's correlating to their life, but also to own their purpose and their passion. Because I'm a true believer that, you know, no matter what it is that's happening to us within our lives, the shit that is happening in the toilet bowl or in life in general is truly guiding us to where we need to go. And so when we can own that, then we can own our lives. And when we feel better, and even if that feel better is just by simply doing something like a castor oil pack or a practice or a protocol, then we can own what it is we're here to do in this world.
Yeah. So a number of things that it's very funny when I'm listening to your story, is that I think it's very similar for a lot of people. So I can tell you that I have been told and have known for years about the benefits of castor oil packs, but had the exact same reaction, which was, I was first introduced to them through the GAPS diet in the GAPS book. So Dr. Natasha Campbell-McBride talks about them being very effective and very much a part of that protocol. And we as a family did the GAPS diet for a number of years, but it was the one part of it that I really couldn't embrace, because I'm like, one, not only was the description of what needed to be done in order to make it work long and more difficult, but also I really didn't think that my child would tolerate having plaster crap wrapped around them, as part of this whole protocol. So I didn't realize there was alternative ways to go about doing this. And of course, yours is really unique, which makes it very quick and easy to do, which is life-changing. Because I do it now on a regular basis, because it really does take 2 minutes or less. And that's what it makes it very approachable. So that's why I was so excited when we met, and I learned about what you'd done and why it was so different than, you know, the age old, like this practice has been around forever.
It's been around since 4000 BC, right? So castor oil has been, like, the earliest research on the use of castor oil is 4000 BC. So you can imagine. And, you know, it's not just then. It's like the father of medicine, Hippocrates, would use them. Galen would use them. He was the doctor who developed the theory of the four humors, which really in natural medicine is really one of the very important aspects of how we practice, you know, looking at the whole body and the terrain. I mean, the traditional Chinese medical doctors to the emperors of the dynasties, Pliny the Elder, who was the medicine man to the emperors of Rome. I mean, it's like the history of this pack being in usage, and of course then through the eclectic practices of the German doctors, and then of course, you know, the Edgar Cayce, who really repopularized it in North America when, you know, naturopathic medicine was coming over and really starting to get its hold and function, and the origins of functional medicine. You know, like, this is such an incredible tool, but the basis of it is that it is so simple, but it works through all the different mechanisms of the body, like the skin, the nervous system. You know, it is triggering our senses to create a response and elicit a response in our body. You know, no different than when we eat something, you know, like people who do the GAPS protocol, you know, I did that for a while as well too. It's like when people intake anything, whether you're looking at light, whether you're eating something, whether you're drinking water or drinking tea, all those are in German classical medicine called Zeitgebers. and I get into big detail with this in my book called Oh Shit, which is launching July 4th weekend. So that people stay tuned for that, because it'll become, I'm confident it'll become number one, the summer book read, you know, of the season. But I believe also it'll become like a big Bible for digestive health care, because it is, you know, it is my years of research, and not only just Canadian research or Canadian learning from Canadian naturopathic doctors, but, you know, naturopathic doctors and holistic medical practitioners around the world, right? And accumulating all that evidence and all, you know, the best clinical pearls. And you know why, like in our clinic, we're so successful with gut protocols, like within a month, we can, you know, really get benefit of people. But it's because we're using these treatments that are so, you know, down to earth and working with the actual body, because, you know, the biggest philosophy and principle of naturopathic medicine is the vis medicatrix naturae, that we have the healing power within our body. And, you know, these doctors like Hippocrates, Galen, all the ancient doctors, what they were doing was they were doing something called an original cleanse, you know, and this is what we're working with people now too, is helping people to adopt this original cleanse. Because what they would do is, this is an old saying that goes, the doctor dresses the wound and then nature can heal it. And in essence, like, you know, we'll get into all the science that Castor Oil Packs does, because there's so much evidence now. And that was part of my job, was to bring up the evidence so that people weren't just saying, oh, this is a hokey treatment or whatever people were saying about it before. And you know what I thought of it too, you know, now I think of it as one of the most scientific and most genius, like of protocols and of practices, because it is literally, you know, the doctor is dressing the wound. So wherever your wound may be, you know, the liver is a wonderful area to dress. And this is why we do the Castor Oil Pack on the liver, right underneath the right rib cage. You know, this is why we take the cotton flannel. This is why we put, you know, oil on it. We'll get into how to do it completely and put it on the liver. But the liver is such a commanding zone for the body. There's a lot of emotion that is stuck in the liver. The liver processes so many different, you know, hormones, neurotransmitters, the immune system, you know, the liver is the only place that has its own immune cells, the Kupffer cells, right? So it's such an important place, and it's such a place that is often targeted. And the gut as well too, right? Like the gut is the outside on our inside, because it has to deal with all these foreign molecules, and everything has to go in through the gut. So these areas of the body are prone to infection, prone to problems. You know, that is where most infections come into the body. So we, you know, using these Castor Oil Packs and being intelligent about how we're using it really heals the body and allows the vital force of the body to heal. And what I love the most about Castor Oil Packs is this, and especially when it comes to anyone who has digestive concerns, and especially, you know, kids, like the population that you're dealing with, Tara, you know, the digestion is a key factor in what their health problem is, because, you know, many of the babies didn't establish a good gut health in that first year, because, you know, the mother didn't have good gut health. So it becomes a vicious cycle. But I'm working on, you know, both, you know, preconception and then perinatal and then postnatal, you know, really trying to figure out how to really improve that gut and make that gut solid, you know, from the get-go. And even if your child is 6, 7, 8 years old, or, you know, within its teens, there's a lot of hope, and there's a lot that can be done by establishing this good practice with your kids. Because it really, and with mom, hopefully too, right? Mm-hmm. Like if mom needs to show the kids, and dad too, like what it is to do, because, you know, here we are fixing the gut. Everyone knows how important the gut is. You know, it's been the topic of conversation for the last 10 years, fix the gut, fix the gut, fix the gut. But so many of us, and like I was, you know, trying to fix the gut merely from oral supplementation, or, you know, practices outside of, you know, really fixing the gut. We need to fix the gut from the outside in. This is the thing. And where Castor Oil Packs stand above and beyond all the other treatments, you know, yes, it stimulates our natural vital healing force. It you know, works with the nervous system to calm it down, to like redirect the attention and the focus to where we need to have healing. But above and beyond that, you're healing the gut from the outside in. And when you heal the gut from the outside in, well then, wow, you can get your supplementation absorption, your food absorption, like all that GAPS diet that you're doing, all that work that you're putting into that, or you know, like taking away your food allergens, all of this work, you're you're healing the gut from the outside in. So everything's going to be absorbed better. It's going to be utilized better. It's going to be eliminated better. So you basically get the body working like a well-oiled machine, like, or not even a machine, a well-functioning ecosystem. You know, I don't like saying the body's a machine because it's so much more than that. It truly is an ecosystem, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've touched on a whole bunch of things. So and you're speaking my language through and through. We have this conversation every time we talk. So yay,
I know we can't stop talking about it. It's so important.
It is so important because so the first thing I would say is that, like you said, I actually think what's great about this is a great practice to do for yourself. Yeah. So you can experience it yourself.
Yeah.
So that, and then implement it for your kids as much as you can do right away for your kids if you want to. Yeah. Because when you do it for yourself, you're going to feel that experience of what you talked about in the very beginning of our conversation about when you first tried a castor oil pack, in terms of it's like this lightness. It's amazing how it downregulates that nervous system and just gives a sense of calm. And I think that experience, and then of course, all the other cascading health effects that come from that alone, let alone all the other things that castor oil can do through transdermal application. So
and this is the thing, right? Is that people, like, that was my objection to it too. I think initially was like, how can an oil that I'm putting on top of my skin actually go into my body and do something? But this is the magic of castor oil and what makes this oil so divine. You know, it number one, it's called the palm of Christ. That's the other name for it, because, you know, historically they say that it potentially was the oil that Jesus Christ was using to anoint the sick in the Bible, right? So powerful right there. But this oil is so very unique. It's a vegetable oil, so great for vegetarians or vegans. But it's molecular structure. It has a combination. There's some omega-6 in there. There's some omega-9, and all this is absorbed through the skin and into the body. So this is a way to actually get fats if you're having problems getting your kids to like eat their fats, right? This is how I was sneaking in with my 10 and 12-year-old when I started them doing castor oil packs, you know, and like to this day, you know, the minute they don't feel well, they're like, where's my castor oil pack? I want my castor oil pack. Sometimes I can get them to do it regularly when they're on cleanses and, you know, when they're doing their things, but they're like all children. But you just to try to get it in as much as you can to start developing that practice, right? It's important. Like it really, and everyone should have their own castor oil pack as well too. And you just keep it and store it in between of them doing their treatments for the kids. But it's amazing to see them now be like, oh, tell me a castor oil pack, please, you know, and then right away, you know, even my daughter, now she's in college, and she came home and, you know, she had been hungover a little bit, drank a little bit too much. Not that I'm advocating that, but you know, they're going to be doing that, so I can't control it. But I love that she took herself responsibility. She came home, she asked me, she goes, you know, castor oil packs work for everything. You know, do you think it'll work for me not feeling well right now? And I'm like, well, what do you think? She goes, yeah. I'm like, she's like, where's my castor oil pack? You know, so she went and put it on. She's like, wow. She's like, you need to tell everyone that it's great for hangovers. And I'm like, I'm not really going to do that. But, you know, I'm glad that you made the connection that, and, you know, I was so blown away by that, because it was all the years of putting in the effort in your kids. And then, you know, they come up with this realization in their life where it is now, like how they can use the castor oil pack. So I was like, you know, this is great. Like, so now, you know, if she's eating improper foods or what have you, because that's going to happen. She's at least, you know, understanding that she needs to go and do her castor oil pack and make things better. So it is wonderful to set up those practices and those routines. And what I started my kids with was actually getting them to do the original cleanse, because the original cleanse is not only just that castor oil, right? That castor oil that has omega-3, omega-6, it's so unique, but it has that molecule, the ricinoleic acid, which actually its dermatological weight is that such that it's 280 daltons. It can actually go through the epidermis. All other oils, like even the ones that you're using as a carrier oil with your essential oils, jojoba oil, sweet almond oil, they only lay in the dermis. And the issue with this is that it's not, if you're taking that as a carrier oil with your essential oils, use castor oil, because castor oil will bring it deeper into the body, and it'll bring it into the actual circulation and into the lymphatic system. And when it brings it into the lymphatic system and the circulation, well, it can extend to all the other parts of the body. And when you're doing a pack on your abdomen and your liver, well, it's going to heal the gut, it's going into the liver. And, you know, castor oil has anti-inflammatory effects. You know, it has so many different beneficial effects. It improves glutathione, like recycling, which is, you know, the master detoxification agent. You know, I the best way, I'll use this because I want people to remember what a castor oil pack does from a physiological perspective, especially for us science geeks out there. Hey, hail to those the nerds who love to get deep into the science. What I found castor oil packs did for me is they brought back faith in my body's ability to heal. And I love that the word faith actually fits as an acronym for what it does within your body. So F, castor oil packs improve your function of your digestion, your absorption, and your elimination, right? Castor oil packs, they reduce stress on your body. They switch your body into the relaxed state. So just that alone helps you to digest better, helps you to have better digestive juices, including stomach acid, digestive enzymes, all those actions. Having your gut into the relaxed state also closes up any gaps that might be occurring. The infamous leaky gut. Leaky gut is merely a response to stress in your body and excess cortisol and your body being in the stress state. And so when you shift your body into the relaxed state more often, and you have to practice shifting it into the relaxed state, I'll get into this a little bit more, this closes up the gaps that are within your gut. And so then this allows you to digest much better and allows you to have better absorption, allows you to have a reduction of food allergy. It also helps with castor oil is wonderful to help with elimination. So for those babies who are constipated, and constipation is a huge problem in childhood, a major problem. And, the solutions that are given from a clinical medical perspective, like, PEG 5, all those, they're many of them are actually like one molecule away from being like antifreeze. Like that's how close they are to like a chemical component. So, and they're used because they're an osmotic laxative and they pull things out. But castor oil packs, I've regulated more digestive tracts with castor oil packs and a bit of magnesium and long-term regulation of constipation, right? So that is a huge benefit to children. And if you didn't know this, elimination is key to reducing food allergies and food sensitivities, because transit time, the longer that food stays in your body, even in the stool form, the longer that you have like longer transit time, it ideally should be 24 hours you eat and it's out the body. The longer the food stays in you, so the more constipated you are, the increased amount of food sensitivities and food allergies that you have. And then you start to create more and more food allergies the longer that your stools stay in your body. So it is of the utmost importance to make sure that your digestion is working well. So you're absorbing the food, absorbing all the nutrients, that absorption is good, and that you're eliminating in an appropriate amount of time. Because I found with my patients over time is that, as long as I got their bowels moving, which is why I always started with the castor oil packs and magnesium as and of course probiotics and an alkalizing agent as well too, there's great research in autism spectrum children or kids that are non-thrivers that, they tend to have lower stomach acid, and if you give them, well, hold on. It's a combination of both low stomach acid, but they could also have high stomach acid. But one of the research studies that I love basing things off of and the use of alkalizing agents with probiotics was that kids, when they were given alkalizing agents with their probiotics, so if they were given like a proton pump inhibitor, like a classical drug, but we use alkalizers, what was found was that the probiotic and their digestive symptoms improved much more faster than the kids who didn't get that. So actually, combining your probiotic with something that's alkalizing and doing it before they've had food is an excellent tool to get their gut established faster. And then combining that with castor oil packs, it's a winning combination. And that's why our gut protocols are so simple, but they work so quickly for people. Right. And then sometimes it's just about that, and castor oil pack being the basis of it all. Because I'm sure you use magnesium, you use probiotics, right? Those are all like your staples, right? Yeah.
Those are what most people are using to get those bowels moving.
Yeah.
Magnesium being a large component of what a lot of parents are leaning on in order to get the bowels moving, because we do know how important that is.
Cool.
But it isn't always successful on it in and of itself. So, and it's also not something you want to have to lean on long term.
Exactly. And that was my thing, like castor oil packs, like they don't create dependency, where like any type of laxative, if you're using it long-term in the same way, it creates dependency. Same thing with like, castor oil, if you're taking it orally. Castor oil, many people remember it, like maybe their grandmothers had given them castor oil. People from Caribbean communities, castor oil was given orally to get rid of parasites. So they would do like a weekly purge, so kids are like, ugh, like, or people from Caribbean cultures are like, oh my God, not castor oil. What are you talking to me, castor oil? But I'm like, no, not like that. Like we're going to do it topically. But there's been times, in chronic constipation or severe constipation cases in my pediatric population where we've actually started using like micro doses of castor oil orally just to get the bowels moving, but then we get them off of that. And we were only doing the castor oil packs, because the castor oil packs long term are going to regulate how their regulation systems are working. So let's go back to faith. So we did function of digestion, absorption, elimination. Then it's a antioxidant status. So castor oil, as I said, it's a source of omega end result of the end result of you taking fish oils is what that molecule of castor oil provides you with is prostaglandins, which is awesome. So it's an anti-inflammatory at the same time. Plus you get omega-6s, you get omega-9. Omega-9 is that of like olive oil. Omega-6 is that of sesame oil. There's all these polyphenols, which are great antioxidants in castor oil. There's fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin E. Again, it helps with glutathione recycling, which is, gangbusters. Glutathione is so hard to get into the system, right?
Yeah, well, that one is a big stroke, because a lot of parents are actually told to get their kids to take glutathione. Some people do it topically with some effect, but taking it orally, there are hardly any products out there that any kid will tolerate, because it tastes so darn awful.
Bad. Yeah, it tastes like sulfur, right? So that alone is a huge reason, if you're working with your child, is to get them to do castor oil packs because of the glutathione recycling. And it was a really cool study that showed that. And then nitric oxide. See, nitric oxide is now being touted as like the new anti-aging molecule. Nitric oxide, if we can think about it, that's Viagra stimulates nitric oxide production, because nitric oxide, what it does is it brings blood circulation to the area. So imagine when you do a castor oil pack and you bring blood flow to your abdomen and blood flow to your liver, what happens? You can process things better. You're getting all the nourishment to the gut can heal, and then if you can get this center of your body, this core, I call the gut, it's like Grand Central Station. It's like the White House. It's like, Buckingham Palace. It's like, for us, it's Parliament in Canada, right? Like it's like the hub where everything happens. And if something happens wrong in those hubs, there's a problem with the entire country, right? So we absolutely, like, we need this hub to be working well, right? Because when it's working well, then everything functions better. And if we can get blood flow to the area and communication to the area, like via nitric oxide and these amazing nutrients, well, wow, that's awesome. Like, we need to jump on board with that. And then, so that's FA, and then I stands for inflammation balance. So castor oil packs, like, inflammation always gets a bad rap. It's like, oh, inflammation's so bad, but inflammation is absolutely how the body heals. It's actually so purposeful. Inflammation is how the immune system, clears up what is toxic and what needs to get out of the body. When we have an infection or when we have a flu, we get inflammation, and inflammation is how the body heals. And, this is incredibly important now, especially with this, like, a little bit of a fear of the new coronavirus. We're going to be talking now in our Instagram, so people want to follow us, or also on our Facebook, about like corona, like flu, influenza, and using your castor oil pack to support your immune system. But it's because faith, that I is inflammation and immune system balance. So castor oil packs, are shown to like balance out your inflammation, so you don't have too much, but you have enough that's purposeful, and it can help your body to heal. It can clear out invaders, but it also improves your TH cells in your body. So the ones that are, vigilant for things like viruses and things like bacteria. So castor oil packs also are really supportive for times when there's flu. And, kids who happen to be, in petri dishes at school, or like they're prone to infection and cross contamination. This is really good to get your kids on, because this is part of healthily supporting your child to have a really strong immune system, and not one that is overachieving and creating damage in the body, but one that is well balanced and able to be vigilant of things that are foreign, that don't belong in our system, in our body. So it creates a good immune response, which also helps with allergies, right? Also helps with all those different things. So as you can see, like, this is like the castor oil pack, like, we're only 3 into the 5-letter word of faith, right? And this is so many of the regulatory systems of the body, like the things that the body needs in order to function properly. Then we go into T. So that stands for tension and stress reduction. So as I said earlier, castor oil like improves digestion by, relaxing the nervous system. That's one of its mechanisms of action. But castor oil packs, what is super key to them is that you actually need to use a pack. So you can't just only rub the oil on the body. Using the pack and having that pack creates slow tension and actually stimulates mechanoreceptors. So the receptors that are on the skin. So this is stimulating your senses in a way that it's communicating with the nervous system to switch your body into the relaxed state. So it's truly like an escape button on your computer. It's like, boom, you put on your castor oil pack, you keep it tensed up there for at least an hour minimum, to ideally overnight. And what that does is that is stimulating the relaxed nervous system to be engaged. And when you're in relaxed engagement of the parasympathetic state, what happens is that your immune system is functioning well, your cleansing is functioning better, your digestion is working better, you're healing from whatever pathology or problem you may be having. So this is how we engage the body into healing. And the reality is that we are so deficient in this relaxed state in our world today, because we are driving on a sympathetic stress state, right? We're constantly running, we're constantly, we can't sleep. We're like, how many kids have insomnia problems, right? Like, it's a major issue. And that's a key signal. Insomnia, constipation, irritable bowel, those are key symptoms that the sympathetic is on overdrive. So the stress state is on overdrive. Allergy, same thing. You're stressed, your body's just stressed from having allergy in your system, right? So it can't relax and calm down because it's hyper vigilant for these irritants that are coming into the body. I love it. We're really getting into the good stuff, honey. This is good. Yeah, this is really good. Like, this is stuff that I'm teaching the naturopathic students all the time. So I'm hoping everyone's loving this, and I'm simplifying it enough. Yeah. But so we're hyper vigilant here. So we need to retrain our body like an Olympian athlete to, like, and that's why the practice of the pack, like doing it nightly, is very important, because the more that you do the pack and the more that you have that ebb and flow of having periods of stress, because we need to have periods of stress, but we need to have periods of relaxed. And if we can really like honor and nurture that relaxed state over the sleeping time, then our body now has created significant balance. And then when you do have stressed times in the daytime, your body is more resilient and you're able to, more switch back out of that stress state into a relaxed state, as long as you've been training your body to do so. And that is applying the castor oil. And that's why it is, even though it is a piece of material and people are like, oh, I can just use the oil because we're so used to using a supplement or an oil. I'm like, no. Like, the pack is about 50% of your practice, and making sure that the pack is, of organic material, that the material is incredibly soft. This is also super important as well too, because the material needs to be soft to stimulate the right type of receptors on the body. You don't want to be obviously having any contaminants in the pack. And the other thing too is, right, with the oil, you really want to make sure that the oil is free of contaminants and it's always in a glass bottle, because as I said earlier on, it's the ultimate carrier oil. So if you have castor oil in a plastic bottle, which most of it is packaged in plastic to make it cheaper to ship, you don't want to cheap out on castor oil. It is like gold. It truly is a gold remedy. It needs to be in plastic because it needs to be preserved. It needs to be healthy. It needs to be a good. It needs
to be in glass. Sorry.
So if people have like castor oil in a plastic bottle, like, do me a favor, like right now, like by the end of this, throw it away. Because it's doing you no good. And this is why when people say that they don't have a good response with castor oil, they haven't had success with it. That's one of the first questions I asked. I'm like, were you using castor oil in a plastic bottle? And, like about 90% of the time people are like, yeah, like that's what I got at the store. And I'm like, well, like, try it again, because not that I can guarantee anything, but it's highly likely that if you're using good quality castor oil that is, extra virgin, cold pressed, no chemicals in it, your response rate is going to be that much better, because the castor oil is in the way that it was meant to be treated, as Hippocrates did and these ancient doctors did, and how we are now working with it with the Queen of Thrones line, right? Yeah. Which is the ancient practice, that original cleanse. We're bringing it back to life. And then, so faith, function of digestion, absorption, elimination, antioxidant status, immune regulation and inflammation balance, tension and stress reduction, and then H. What on earth could H be? But H is that we are a host. We are the hostesses and host with the mostest. we have trillions of bacteria that we need to symbiotically work with. We need to work with them. They help, the good bacteria helps us to create great B vitamins, helps us to do so much in our body that is beneficial. So with castor oil, it's been shown clinically and like scientifically supported that it is an amazing reducer of biofilm, and biofilm is that bad layer that does not allow you to reset a good microbiome. And it actually helps with recalibrating your microbiome so that you have the positive bacteria instead of having, the bad bacteria, like the methane producing bacteria and the hydrogen sulfide producing bacteria. Those are common in problems like SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And those bacteria happen to, guess what? The gases that they produce slow down your transit time. Again, this whole vicious cycle, right? And then you're having more allergy, and you're having all these different issues together. So you're in a nutshell, what these castor oil packs are doing is they are supporting the 5 pillars of your physiology that create health and wellness. And then you add into it by all the other practices. You still need to eat well. You still need to take supplements because our food might not have the amount of nourishment that it requires like it did way back when. Even if it is organic, you still need to support and supplement with supplements. You still need to do a good diet. You still need to work on your mind, all those other aspects that are important that we still need to work on. But the good thing is that castor oil packs will make everything else that people are doing just work that much better.
Yeah.
Oh, and wait. I forgot the most important part of this. I'm so sorry. When I was talking about stress, I never spoke about oxytocin production. And I did speak about like escape button on the computer, but I never said the mechanism of action. I think that's so important to know because castor oil packs, when you do them, you feel really good because the castor oil packs, the putting it on the body stimulates oxytocin, which that is the mechanism of action of how it reduces cortisol and your stress hormone. And oxytocin also does things like, it reduces your appetite. It makes you sleep better. Like oxytocin, in my opinion, I think will become the next like weight loss drug because when you feel satisfied with oxytocin, you feel loved, you feel nurtured, you feel like you have enough of everything with oxytocin. So, it's incredible. And there you go. So I had to interject with that because I was like, if I forget oxytocin, oh my, but it's amazing. It's amazing. And it makes castor oil packs. They're a wonder because they do so much and yet they are so simple.
Yeah. No. Well, you just said it there, which is why I love this intervention, because it is one, I always look for things that we can do simply to add to our regular routine that are the most impactful for the least cost and are non-invasive.
Yeah.
And this is it literally is all of those things. So it's, and like I said, I kick myself for not actually doing one myself. And then also doing them on my kids all those years ago when I first learned about them now. But that's in the past. As I say, we can say, if I knew or if I did, then what I'm doing now. So we can do that all day. But
I you know what I always say? It's like, I love the saying Maya Angelou, like she's Oprah Winfrey's favorite author. When you know better, you do better. So it serves us not to kick ourselves because honestly, like I was 10 years more, 15, I was suffering for so long and I was told so long, but and there's this thing that I want to say to people too, is this, because I know the frustration of what it's like to be taking, like 20, 30 supplements with your kids. And, you get prescribed all these things from whether it's your naturopath or wherever you're going, you're working with a lot of supplements at certain points of times in your protocol, right? Patients are always asking me, like, how can I work at getting off of these supplements? And then my answer to this question is always, Tara, every single time, like, have you been practicing your castor oil? Because I always tell them, I go, I can't take you off of these because you're having to spend these thousands of dollars on these supplements because you're not working on the foundation. Mm-hmm. When you have the foundation over time and not immediately, you're not going to be able to get off of all your supplements immediately because you still need to do the groundwork. But over time, you're able to go on less and less and less. And that's how, my practice, thousands of patients, so many of them now barely come to see me because they don't need to, because they're on a reduced supplement protocol. They know what to do in terms of their cleanses. They also, they practice their castor oil pack regularly. And they know that if they continue to do that, they're going to be healthy. And, you know, the ironic thing is that when they do every once in a while come in for a visit and, you know, things have gotten off track for them, what has typically gone off track is their castor oil pack. And then, you know, they come in and I tell them, I'm like, are you doing your castor oil pack? And they're like, no. And they go, oh my God, I just paid for this visit for you to tell me, like, I paid like, you know, $500 for this visit for you to tell me to do my castor oil pack. You know? So it's like, that's the thing. It's like, God, you know, my goal is for the decade, if this can become the health practice go-to for, you know, 1 billion people around the world, you know, I will be so happy with the legacy that I leave this world. But, you know, I'll still be here till about 120 years of age because castor oil packs are going to keep me there. But, you know, if I really want to achieve this, because I feel that this next decade is very important for us as a world. And, you know, there's a lot of change and movement happening for the better. So, you know, every step that we can take to better ourselves will only better our world too. And everything, you know, that trickles down from there.
Absolutely. I have a question, and I'm going to hopefully pronounce the name correctly, but Yoline is asking, saying, good morning. I have a 10-year-old daughter with autism spectrum disorder, nonverbal. She's still not potty trained due to chronic constipation. I just started doing a castor oil pack, but the oil was in a plastic bottle. Is it all right after purchasing this kit? So the kit that Yoline's referring to is the kit that we're going to talk about today, to administer some oil orally. So they're asking if they can do that.
Yeah, so it's food grade. I can't give clinical advice because she's not my patient, so I don't really know exactly. But the food that's used in this castor oil bottle is our food grade, and actually in Canada we have the only the national product number for oral castor oil use. So, you know, in our clinical practice, what we have done with kids is the chronic constipation. What we have done is similar to what the Caribbean practice was, which was we would either, you know, 1 day a week give a teaspoon, or we would, you know, microdose every day, just a wee little bit orally, like just, you know, maybe a teeny tiny quarter teaspoon, and then to see how it goes. But you have to go back and forth and then slow down and stop, because you obviously don't want to have too much diarrhea. But the staple has to still always be the castor oil pack, because otherwise then you just get dependency, and that becomes just a major problem. The castor oil pack, you know, we would always have patients on magnesium as a key. You know, my favorite magnesium is magnesium glycinate. Citrate bothers me. Like, I've just had a lot of experience where it really upset my stomach and just gave me too much gas, so I just glycinate, and I love glycinate as well. I don't know, Tara, which one's your favorite?
It really, actually, I find each child is different in terms of what they respond to. So, because magnesium malate seems to also work.
I like that too. Yeah.
Well, and more from a cellular level as opposed to actually loosening the stool. So it really just depends on
their whole picture. Yeah. Because if they have pain, like, see, I like glycinate because, you know, I had so much anxiety in my picture, and so many of my patients have those types of pictures, right? A lot of anxiety, a lot of neurological stuff. So glycinate just being the glycine, which is also calming for the nervous system. So I always have liked that a lot. And then citrate I will use if we absolutely need to. Malate I love, especially if there's pain in the symptomology as well too, right? Yeah. So that would be my best, you know, and a good quality probiotic, you know, alkalinizing agents, like getting them to do castor oil packs.
Yeah. I like that what you were talking about with that, because I haven't heard that clinical pearl before. So that's a really interesting one, to keep it away from food. Not that I haven't heard that, but to do an alkalizing agent with it. So what would you typically do with that when you're doing your probiotic?
Yeah, so typically, like, my protocols are often morning and night. So before you go to bed, and then right when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is you take a probiotic, and then you add in an alkalinizing agent, and all night long you've done your castor oil pack. I mean, because that alone, that having that nighttime with your castor oil pack and going to bed with alkalinizing agent and probiotic, like, you're resetting the microbiome overnight. You're regulating inflammation, because at night you'll have inflammation because the body's cleansing and cleaning. You're giving, you know, nutrients. So I'm always looking, there's great alkalinizing agents and formulas out there. Just you're looking for, it's got typically calcium, magnesium, potassium, bicarbonate will be an ingredient. Hopefully there's some vitamin C in there too, because if there's vitamin C, then you get even more benefit, because again, over nighttime, there's going to be, you know, detoxification and cleansing happening. So having vitamin C, your castor oil pack helps with providing vitamin E. Those things help to recycle glutathione more. So simple, but yet such magic that you can achieve. Right?
Yeah. It is really good. So what would be an alkalizing agent for people that aren't familiar?
So like a product you're thinking about, or
like, just like what would you typically recommend? Like what to people? So if they don't know what an alkalizing agent would be.
So you need to look for a formula that contains calcium, magnesium, potassium bicarbonate. Usually there's those three ingredients. There's so many on the market. There's so many names I could name. Honestly, I don't even know the brand names anymore because we have all of our own that I've compounded, but that's what people are looking for. So there'll be calcium, magnesium. Typically, will those be citrates? There'll be bicarbonate. Sometimes there'll be citrates. It just really depends on the formulation. And then potassium bicarbonate, and typically some vitamin C in there. If you get a really good formula, those are going to be the three components of it. I mean, I've seen some that are just calcium, magnesium, potassium bicarbonate, and potassium citrate. And that'll do its job too. And I mean, even sometimes people can use baking soda. If you can get an aluminum-free baking soda, you can even use baking soda, because baking soda will do a similar, because it's bicarb, right? So it'll create. But I love the potassium, and I've even done like just potassium as an alkalinizing agent sometimes too, right? But you just need to be careful with magnesium and such. So those things really, it's about regulation of the gut, and it's about setting up the foundation, because the gut is the foundation of our health. And so and honestly, like in my years of practice, I have not, and I do all of it. Like I'm as fancy pantsy as you get as a clinician. We're in my beautiful little clinic here right now. We have an IV suite. We do colon hydrotherapy. We do like all the advanced treatments, and I love the advanced treatments. Like they're wonderful, but there is so much to be said about the ancient tools. And the original cleanse that we discuss a lot, it actually is not only the castor oil pack, but we also do a castor oil pack on the eyes because we're taking advantage. So we'll apply castor oil around the eyes, and then we'll use an eye mask as well too, because we're taking advantage of that skin aspect, but we're also taking advantage that we want to create more neurotransmitters naturally that help the gut. So when you wear an eye mask, you naturally, just because of the pressure on the skin, again, it's all about the pressure. Of course, blocking out light also helps to increase melatonin, but putting pressure on this area around the eyes stimulates the pineal gland to stimulate melatonin. And for those of you that don't know, melatonin is 10 times higher amounts in the gut than it even is in the brain. And melatonin works is a functional regulator of the digestive tract as well too.
Yes.
So the original cleanse, as per Hippocrates, they used what they had, which was just the most natural of things, and the principle of the doctor dresses the wound and allows nature to heal it. So doing your castor oil pack over your liver, and then wearing an eye mask to bed. And this little protocol, like this is actually my eye mask, and if you can see, I brought it from home. It's actually dirty with my mascara because sometimes I forget to clean. But like it's like literally putting that on there. And doing that at night does wonders, because you're enhancing all the body's natural neurotransmitters, the body's natural, cleaning agents, the body's natural way of healing. So cool. Yeah.
So before we wrap up today, what I would love for you to do is, one, I know you've put a really great special package together for this, the My Child Will Thrive community. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But also just to walk us through, we've been talking about castor oil packs and saying that they're really easy because of the way you do them. Can you just explain to everybody who hasn't seen them? And I brought mine from home because I it comes in this great little package too, which is actually really handy, because I put mine back in there.
Exactly.
Keeps it from getting, dusty or, in between washings, which you don't have to do that often. So we can talk about
exactly. So this is the key. I made it easy because I made it easy, and I made it more affordable, because the original castor oil packs, you had to pour so much oil. This pack, you don't need to use as much oil. That's not the purpose. You just need a little bit is better in this case. So what you do, you take your pack out of your kit. So it comes in a beautiful, it's like organic cotton on the inside, and this on the outside is the same type of material that's used. It's non-toxic, and it's used for reusable baby diapers. So it's so that way it's a bit of a barrier. It's not 100%, so I'd still recommend you put a t-shirt on afterwards, because like castor oil is, this is by far, this is my I don't know, 10th model on the Castor Oil Pack. Like, you guys should see, like, I actually pulled one of my original designs out, and I'm like, wow, it's amazing. Over, the 10, 11 years that I've been doing this now, like the evolution, and this truly is, like, this is my favorite. Like, I'm really proud. Very, very proud. So it's a soft part that's going to go next to your skin. All you do is you take your bottle of organic castor oil, remember, always in a glass bottle. You pour 2 tablespoons the first time. Every time that you use it after that, you don't need to keep on pouring as much. You pour less and less and less. Your goal is to avoid having to wash it and to avoid the oil leaking into the seams, because once it's into the seams, then you have to wash it. So you take the bottle, you pour 2 tablespoons, you blot the pack, and then you place it on your liver. So I'm going to do a little bit of show and tell here. Place it on your liver, which is right underneath of your right rib cage. So take it like that. And then simply attach the straps. So you can either attach them in the back, you can attach them in the front if you're tiny. I never attach them in the front because you can, but it's just too much work. Just attach them in the back, and then, wear an old t-shirt and go to bed. And that's literally as simple as it is. You don't need heat with this pack, so that takes another element out of it. You literally just put it on, go to bed, and wake up in the morning, take it off. That's it.
Yeah.
So simple.
Yeah. And so for those of you not familiar with the old way of doing things, it was, you had to heat the oil up, you had to get the pack, you had to pour a whole lot of oil on, then you had to try to get it on yourself or your child. And then you literally were supposed to spin plastic wrap around them. Aside from the environmental impact of that, it was sort of, like I said, it was just a nightmare type protocol that I was just, I never tried. I just didn't try until your pack. So
it was too much. And
it is too much.
And the thing too, and then you just do with the eye mask too. So you do the same thing. You put the castor oil, you put it around your eyes. For moms and women, so you'll love this. Castor oil actually helps to reduce your wrinkles and your fine lines. So that's even more of a bonus. And if you're looking for eyebrows and eyelashes, it improves the growth of the eyebrows and eyelashes. Like, there's this whole aspect of cosmetic and dermatological, which is awesome. So we may as well feel better and look better too, ladies. Yeah. And then just wear the eye mask to bed. So plop the eye mask on and go to sleep. And I am so overwhelmed with the love. No, overwhelmed in the best possible way. Like, I'm like, with the great comments we get online. Like, I was just looking on our Instagram account, like, I love my pack. I'm sleeping better. I feel better. This is such a game changer. Like, I'm going to the bathroom regularly, like, all these things are great. And one thing I do want to say to people is that everyone responds differently. People often will feel they're going to poop better, they're going to sleep better, they're going to find that they're going to cleanse better, they'll bloat less and digest better, and they'll also find that they'll stress less and you'll feel better from the packs. But most people are pretty immediately, but there are some people who take longer. So it just depends on you, your body, the resistance that there is within your body, the barriers that you have to break down and work through. But please continue. Do not take that as it's not working. It is working. It's working deeply on the cellular level. It's providing so much goodness to you. Do not give up. Honestly, like and sometimes you don't even realize it. Like, I've had patients who are like, it's not doing anything. I'm like, keep on doing it, and they do it for 3 months. They're like, it's not doing anything, I'm stopping it. And then they stop it, and then all their stuff comes back, and they're like, oh my God, go back on the castor oil pack, right? And they're like, you were right. I didn't realize that it was doing something. I'm like, it is. Trust me, I have seen this. Like, I, probably at this point I most definitely have the most clinical experience with these castor oil packs in terms of like studies, everything with it, even personal usage. I mean, keep it up, and you will feel better and receive the benefits from that over time, if not immediately.
Yeah, that's
in
great.
most cases. Yeah.
So in the pack that I put some links below, so you can check it out for yourself. So what is it? Where are all the goodies that everybody's getting at?
So they're going to be getting not only our castor oil pack with the bottle and a cosmetic kit. We also have an ebooks that we're providing with the package that you get, like my Know Your Poo, which is all about your what your poo says about you. The 21 ways that you can use castor oil cosmetically. So that's great, because then because it's cosmetically, but it's also with rashes and skin stuff. Like, there's a lot of like sunburns, bug bites. Like, this is going to become everyone's like go-to pharmacy aid, in their pharmacy cabinet at home. Then you also have like ebook called My Gut Feelings, which again gives you the top list of supplements that I love to use with gut problems. It's non-branded, but it gives you good guidance if what you're taking is really great. It also comes with the 5 best ways that Castor Oil Packs work. And you can upgrade to get our How to Dupe Your Poo Properly kit, which gives you our Eau de Throne, and it's such a great price and such a good steal. Our Eau de Throne is your after you poo perfume. This cleans the air after you go to the bathroom, which is important because your poo is like 30 to 50% bacteria. But the essential oils are great for people who have digestive problems. So sniffing this after you go to the bathroom is great because it helps to, work on healing the gut. And then a little bracelet that you can use with your kids or on yourself that is both a poo color education tool. You got it. Yep. So the beads help you to know whether you got the right color of your stools. And the Know Your Poo book tells you whether it's good or not. And then a little grateful dung beetle on there that we use a cool practice with our babes and our kids and our pediatric patients and everybody. We say to hold on to if you're not doing something like a grace before meal, this is a way to do it with a reminder. So you hold on to the little grateful dung beetle. The dung beetle rolls poo all day long. So if you think you have it bad, the poor dung beetle, but the dung beetle, despite that, is grateful, right? He's grateful. So you hold on to the dung beetle and you say 3 things that you're grateful for before you eat. And that alone helps to calm your nervous system down. My mission is to help people learn. I love the supplements, but I want people to learn the practices that they can do that can really transform their lives and that can make them feel better, right? So all of basically the package, which is called the Original Cleanse that people will be getting, will help to provide them with all these things.
That's amazing. So
yeah. And at a great discount too, which is nice.
I
so
know,
take advantage of it for only a few days. So only like 10 days. So take advantage of it.
So I thank you for that, because it really is a great package of lots of things that'll be super helpful. I have a couple more little questions coming in that I just want to see if we can answer before we wrap up here, and everybody get back to their Sundays. Yolene, who we answered the question before, she said, another question, my daughter will not leave the pack on overnight, which I can hear. I'm sure that there's other parents out there asking the exact same question. Is it all right to do during the day, and for how long? And they're also asking about reaching out to you. They're in Florida. Dr. Marisol's in Canada. I'm in Canada, but you can reach out to her and her team through their website as well, which I'll make sure that you can get to all of that as well. But do you want to answer that question about the nighttime, daytime part?
It's such a great question. I started doing Castor Oil Packs. I also couldn't wear them at night because I was also very sensitive and hyper. Right. And this happens a lot with spectrum children and children in general. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I actually started doing them for an hour a day during the daytime. And I evolved my practice as I changed. And I do this with pediatric patients often too, is that we do it for an hour in the daytime or at some point in the day for an hour. And then I evolved as I started feeling better. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll try it at night. But it was because I started getting better balance. And I've seen this with patients so many times too. You start getting better balance between your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. So your extreme skin sensitivity starts to balance, right? So it starts to get calm. So it's not like everything makes you like, oh, irritated, right? So start in the daytime or before bed for an hour and then take it off. No big deal. At least if you're doing it, you're going to be getting benefit.
Yeah. So, yeah. And what I would say too is that any of the parents that even think that an hour is going to be too long, start wherever you can and work on working it out, because every
little aspect helps.
Yeah, every little bit helps. Yeah. And that's often what we have to do, is we just have to inch our way in and not to give up, because ultimately it will have an impact. And the reality is, even just getting that castor oil onto the skin, it's still going to absorb, even if you can't keep the pack on. Just make sure that the clothing that they have on with it is something you can throw into the wash, and it isn't one of their favorites, because it may leave a bit of a mark, like all oils do.
Yeah, and I would wash it on its own or wash it in the dishwasher, your clothing that has castor oil on it, honestly, because that's how we wash our castor oil pack, is actually in the dishwasher, because we don't want the oil, because there's castor oil transfers. It's notorious for getting everywhere. Another reason why people were like, oh, I'm not going to do it. But honestly, don't let that be a barrier, because now it's easy, it's clean. Mm-hmm. We have all the tricks to do it so that you can do it and there's no mess or less mess, and it's a lot, it's so beneficial.
Yeah. And to that end, you do have a great video on your website about how to clean them. So there's lots of instruction in terms of how to clean them. Again, you don't have to do it very often. So that's another one of the great benefits of it. Another question, Maso asks, would this help get my child off melatonin supplements? She's been on them for years and I'd love to get her off them. She's tried natural supplements, etc. before.
Yeah, I mean, this is the key to it, right? It's that you're helping the body to produce it on its own. And the eye mask is powerful for sleep, like super powerful for sleep. So, I don't see why not. Like, I rarely take melatonin, and most of my patients, I try to get them off of it as well too. Initially, I'll have them started and then we get them off of it. But as long as they're doing the eye mask practice, right? Again, it's that pressure. You're stimulating, the doctor dresses the wound. This is a way to empower yourself to be for your empowered doctor at home, right? Like, dress the wound, allow the body to do its magic, and then it can build up its melatonin, and that can help a lot.
Yeah. So there you go. I hope that helps answer that question. Feel free, anybody who's watching this after the fact, you can always put questions here and we'll cycle back and try and answer them best we can. Check out, the links are in the comments to this video to get access to the great deal and offer that Dr. Marisol has brought forward for everybody today. And I can't thank you enough for doing this with me again. It's so much fun as always. And I'm really excited about hearing everybody's success with implementing castor oil packs as part of their routines with their children. And hopefully, well, obviously all the results they're going to get, but also easing maybe off some of the other supports that they, especially for digestive and sleep, that they've had to rely on for so long.
Yeah, and mamas do it too, because like it all starts with you. Self-care for you is super important, and this is my opinion, the best self-care routine that you can do. Like, it's easy. Go to bed, sleep well, have a good restful night so that you can deal with whatever comes your day the next day.
I did just remember one thing I wanted to ask you. You did mention that everybody needs to have their own. Can you tell people why they have to have their own and they can't share them between family members? I almost forgot about that. That's
really good. Yeah. It goes down to, this is very similar to underwear, right? Like, we don't know exactly how much transfer comes from inside the body out back into the pack. Like, you always pour fresh oil onto the pack in order to have a new layer of oil going into the body, but we really don't know. So we really don't want to be transferring, any toxicity that may be in the body, and it's different for everyone. It's best to just keep everyone having their own, just put your little name on the tag and make sure that you know that it's yours. Yeah. It is like underwear. I always say, like, you wouldn't be sharing your children's underwear, you know what I mean? Like, you and your husband wouldn't be sharing it as much as you're in close contact,
I agree. There's no underwear sharing.
No. So cool.
That's the easiest way to do it.
Right.
Well, thank you again. On that note,
so welcome.
Where else are we going to end?
Exactly.
Poop and underwear.
Awesome.
Thanks again for joining us today, and thank everybody that took the time out of the day to come live. And I hope that everybody gets the benefit of watching this in the replay. I look forward to talking to you all again soon.
Oh, awesome. Bye.
Bye for now. Okay.